You never forget your first love, but the passage of time has a bit of a tendency to muck things around a little bit, change certain conditions and circumstances. In the Australian feature film Forever First Love, globetrotting photographer Paul bumps into his first love, Anna, 16 years after a whirlwind youthful romance. The passion remains, sure, but other things may have changed somewhat. Principles and values might have evolved in different directions. Here's a clip.
How long has it been? 16 years?
16?
Come on an adventure with me. I will get you out of the city. We'll see some sights.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you going to tell me where we're going?
It's a surprise.
I hate surprises.
I remember.
What else does he remember? Brisbane director Luke Mayze, lead actor Stephen Rooke are joining you right now. Hello, Luke.
Hello, Joel. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for coming in. G'day, Stephen.
G'day, how you doing?
You're a busy guy. I just saw your name pop up, I believe, in a production of 1984.
Correct, yeah, that was announced today that we're doing that with Shake and Stir. So touring nationally as of a couple of weeks from now, starting in Sydney and doing 37 venues around the country before we head back here in November.
Sounds like a quiet run.
Yeah, and happy, joy, lots of laughter and fun, and
yes, of course.
yeah, nothing dystopian or terrible or awful or torturous at all.
Only
in 1984,
very subtle departure from the territory of Forever First Love, by the sound of it.
Very subtle, yeah.
Absolutely.
Luke, you've written this story, you've
Yes.
directed it, you've seen it through to completion.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you. Obviously, it's a wistful, it's romantic, but ultimately there's a bit of a gut wrenching premise in there as well. What's inspired this?
It was inspired by. I actually did have one of those kind of romances when I was 17.
Did you now?
I did. And there was I needed to make a new first film, and I thought, well, that's an interesting story. What if you met that person again, and nothing was constraining anything about your lives, like whether that person's married or they're not, whatever it is, what would happen? Maybe nothing would happen or everything could happen. So it was kind of like, well, what would happen if they got to have 24 hours together? Would they reignite it? Would it all start again? Would all old things come up? Just an interesting premise.
The key being, of course, years and years and years have passed. They've
Yes.
grown into adults. Life has thrown its curveballs at them, and they've potentially grown apart somewhat.
Absolutely, yeah. And they've got different, they're different people. They're not teenagers anymore. They're not 17. They're now, early 30s. And they're, like you said, they've lives hit them and things have changed in their lives and they're different people. But what remains and what doesn't is what's interesting.
Stephen, you as Paul, you basically take a chance. You spot your first love, Anna, through the lens of your camera, and you say hello. A lot of people wouldn't.
I think
You did. Why?
Well, because it was written in the script that way.
Yeah.
That's
Like, I
right,
kinda
'cause
didn't
Luke-
have a
Luke
choice.
He chased it through the
that
market
way.
too.
Chased it through the market. We had a lovely time shooting in the markets there. The
Oh, yeah.
markets in Manila are something
on.
else
This is
altogether.
Vegan City, Manila. Is that right?
We
So-
shot in two places, Manila for 2 days and vegan for the
vegan
rest.
for,
Okay.
for 10 days or something like that. But the shooting in the market was outrageous. Like, it was wild. Just tens of thousands of people shoulder to shoulder all for days on end, and having to watching these cars squeeze down the middle of the markets and almost running over people's feet, and everyone pressing up against the wall,
Really?
like those train videos
Crazy.
you see. Just crazy. But anyway, back to Paul. Paul, I mean, I think because I think you meet Paul at a time in his life where he's got to start making some decisions that are either, is he going to grow up or is he going to remain this happy-go-lucky, jet-setting photographer for the rest of his life? And I think that moment is one of those sliding doors moment where through the camera he goes, do I take a chance here or do I just move on? And he takes a chance, and everyone. I mean, I can speak for myself and the other men that I've spoken to about this. Like, everyone's got that person from their teenage years or late teens that they've built up into something in their mind. What if I'd had that chance? What if I'd, just been able to see them again now? And through that passage of time, you build them into something massive, that they may not necessarily be able to live up to. And I think Paul's definitely a victim of his own imagination there.
Yeah, actor Stephen Rooke. You're hearing from Stephen Rooke, Brisbane director Luke Mayze. We're chatting about the Aussie feature film Forever First Love, rekindling or attempting to rekindle with your first romance. And Luke, I'm resisting with everything inside me to not ask you more about your own personal story. But I will ask you, did you ever see that your first love through the lens of a camera, or was there any kind of reunion?
No, nothing like that. But I still know her. Like, we're still friends. She's
Okay.
in Europe and I'm here. But yeah, we're still friends. Yep.
Now, okay, so Stephen, I happen to believe in looking for the right person. The line's there, it's in the trailer, it's a big one. It's countered by Anna, but basically Paul's take on things. And as you've alluded to, looking for the right person, it's a risk. What about shutting yourself off to other opportunities that happen if you're looking for that one perfect person? You might get a bit fussy. What happens then?
I guess so. I mean, that's the chance you take, isn't it? You sometimes some people. I mean, I know people that have lists of, checklists of going, my perfect person must have this and this and this and this and this and this. And so there's no room for compromise. And you go, well, you might be missing out on something incredible because you're not willing to look over the fact that they are a left-handed person rather than a right-handed person. Or, sorry, my partner's left-handed. Hey, Perry, love you.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah, Luke's left-handed. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you've just got to open yourself up to these opportunities and go, what will be, will be. But you're also opening yourself up to the possibility of having your heart broken or being, angered or disappointed or saddened at the end of it. But if you don't take a chance, are you ever going to live?
Interesting. I don't want to make it awkward. I'm also left-handed. So
Oh, man.
just saying.
Yeah, I had to choose that, didn't I? I could have said anything else because they might be vegan. There you go.
Of all the
Are
things,
you a vegan as well?
No,
Okay,
not any time recently.
Not that there's anything wrong with being vegan.
Luke, there is romance here, but there's also there's realism. Can you give us an idea what has changed between these characters? I'm guessing fairly relatable themes of the things that drive people apart over the years.
Well, I think, as Stephen said earlier, he's at a point where he's got to work out, am I going to grow up or am I going to stay where I am? And he's probably got Arrested Development, being at 30, maybe, but maybe I'm a bit like that. I don't know. But she's definitely, I think, had life come at her, and she's someone who now is very pragmatic. I don't think she's as romantic as but she has things to say in the movie that sort of counter that a little bit. Like, they're both very opposite sides of a coin. Interesting enough, some friend of mine saw the film and said, I think that's just your subconscious. The two characters are both your different fighting of what you think about romance and love, which I thought was really interesting. So, but yeah, the changes, I think she's the one who's changed more than him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She's grown up, perhaps?
I think somewhat, but then that's where some of the really good tension in the film comes.
Yeah.
And I think the reaction from people who have seen it has been really interesting because because it really does divide people down the middle. Some people are so pro Paul and saying, he did the right thing and he was having a go and all of that sort of thing. And then there's other people that think Paul is a jerk and that they're all pro Anna and they think that, Anna is a really strong woman who stands up for what she believes in and goes for what she wants. So, depending, I guess it's probably got something to do with what's happened in your life before you go in and watch the film.
Yes.
Affects which side of the coupling you lie on, you fall on.
And we're going to say, when we did screen it in theaters, it was fun coming out because, look, whether you like the film or not, I can't control that, but people would argue about it and they were talking. Like, people had things to say, which is a great thing. So we got them in some way. Again, whether it's loved or not, I can't control that. But people do talk about it.
I wonder how many of the people that don't like Paul are left-handed. Just out of just
And
throwing it in
vegans,
there.
apparently. Yeah.
6:12 ABC, Brisbane and Queensland. Just coming up to 5 minutes to 8 news. At 8, you're hearing from Luke Mayze, film director, actor Stephen Rooke. We're chatting about Forever First Love and rekindling or not rekindling with your first romance. Now, Luke, you mentioned the Philippines and some of the chaos. I guess a pretty hectic, I believe, 11 days
shoot
of filming
in Philippines and 1 day in Australia.
Now, we're going back. So you guys filmed this around COVID. Was it 2020, 2019-ish?
2019, March 2019.
So just before, I guess, that sort of
And we
changed
nearly
everything.
delayed the shoot. And thank God we didn't, because we wouldn't have made it if we delayed it, because we would have hit COVID and then we would have never made the film.
It's extraordinary but that journey for you guys, it's 5 years later, 20 countries, I believe it's been distributed. It's just landed on Amazon, Apple TV, iTunes, YouTube. That's a slow burn, but you guys are in for it. Can you walk me through that process? I guess that 5 year period, we had just a little cheeky pandemic in the middle of that as well. How'd that play out?
Well, you make the film, and we made it fully independently. This wasn't financed by anyone. We raised some money for some really wonderful investors, and we went out and did it. So when you come back, you put it together and you start showing it to people, and you need to either get a distributor or a sales agent. Thankfully, we got a sales agent through a guy called Carlos from Galloping Entertainment. He's actually here in Brisbane, and then they start putting it out to the world and seeing if people want to buy it. And then we did sell to the UK and America and South America, and then we literally only recently sold to Japan. So it still has a life, and it's going to play in theaters in Japan, which is really cool. So it just takes time, and then sometimes you just, because again we're an independent production, we don't have all this kind of financing behind it. You just got to get it out there, and then finally we got someone Radioactive to put it on streaming here in Australia.
Extraordinary. What a journey that is. Stephen, you mentioned some of the feedback, let's call it polarising feedback between Anna and yourself. Now, Carlotta Morelli playing Anna, you guys, the chemistry's off the charts.
No,
You've cast it
amazing.
beautifully, of course.
Amazing.
You're getting emails, messages from people all over the world intrigued by your characters. And you touched on them being on one side of the fence. What are some of the questions you're getting asked?
Well, I get questions and messages from. I mean, it started. I could sort of see where the film was travelling because I started to get messages from Argentina, and then I started getting messages from Brazil, and suddenly I had all of these Brazilian followers, and then it started. Then I think I saw it move into India.
Yep.
And so it was really.
I was going to say the fun part for me was I didn't get anywhere near as many messages to me, but I always thought there were always some countries where it wasn't released. So they were watching it, they were pirating or whatever.
Yeah.
I love your movie. And even one girl who I still talk to from Georgia near Russia, she used one of our main lines in the movie as her tagline on her Instagram.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of things. There's always do you still catch up with Carlotta? Have you seen her since the film? How long did it take to shoot? All of the standard questions. I think we got really lucky with the chemistry that we had because Carlotta she's Italian heritage but lives in London, and so we didn't actually get a chance to meet in person until we arrived to shoot the film. We'd had a couple of sessions on Zoom to rehearse it, but standing face to face is something completely different to being able to doing it online. But I think within about 20 minutes of knowing each other, we were like, "Oh, this is a winner. This is going to be good." And if that chemistry wasn't there, I mean, look, I could be the greatest actor in the world, which I think I am, but no. And she could be the second greatest actor in the world. But if there's not that chemistry there, then it's going to flop. Yeah. Turns out we got on absolutely famously and lived in each other's pockets. And upon parting 2 weeks later, leaving her in Manila when we went to fly out, one of the other amazing crew, Alec, who came with us, he was like, "Are you all right?" And I said, "I'm not really sure." And he said, "It must feel like you've lost a limb." And I was like, "It actually really does," because she'd been right beside me for 2 weeks. We were each other's best friend and pretend lover. And, it was almost became, even though there was that element to it, it became like a sibling thing as well. So, it was really quite a wonderful relationship to have, and quite a big hole to fill when we had to part.
Avoid. You know what's going to happen now, though? 16 years from now, you're both going to get cast in another movie, and you're going to have to make that decision.
Well, we've been talking about a sequel.
We did talk about a sequel. Yeah. We had an idea, but I said this time, if we do another, it'd have to be somewhere nice like Tuscany in Italy. I'm not going back to the a really rough place.
I'll do your press for you if you're going to Tuscany.
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't worry about it. It's all
come
good.
along.
Luke Mayze and Stephen Rooke, director and lead actor respectively. The film is Forever First Love. As I mentioned, it has dropped on Amazon, Apple TV, iTunes, and YouTube as well, guys. What a journey! What a story for you both. Chookers for 1984.
Thank you.
Just keep that energy, that Paul energy. That'll really
that'll sell. Well, actually, I'm playing Parsons, who is the quintessential company man. So he is the yes man in 1984. So he has got a bit of that youthful exuberance that Paul has. I might actually be able to draw on a little bit of that.
Paul, the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.